Hi, my name is Julia Collis. I go to ACS, the American Community School of Beirut, and I'm an 11th grader there, and I live in Lebanon. So my question is, did you know Fairuz created over 1,000 songs called The Presenter's Promise? So I'm not an expert, but I promise that I tried to learn as much as I could to satisfy my curiosity about this topic. Someone here might know more than me about this topic. Please correct me, ask questions, and contribute, but do it nicely. I am not trying to persuade you of my agenda or convince you to take action. My only hope is that my presentation might cultivate your own curiosities. Okay, so first let me dive into what this presentation mostly focuses on. So it's about the background of Fairuz and who she is, how many songs did she make, and why was she famous, what inspired her, most of her songs. So first of all, why am I interested in this topic and what led me to want to do this presentation? So when I was younger, my mother's side of the family like music, and by the time I grew up, I realized that I don't know anything about her, even though she was a very big part of my childhood. My family even one time took me to a restaurant that mostly played her music. And I realized that I wanted to discover more about her and more about the meaning behind her music. So just to give you a little bit of background on her, her parents were Liza al-Bustani and Wadi Haddad, were from Beirut. They actually grew up in an Arab Christian neighborhood. And her husband and children are Asi Rahbani, Ziad Hadi Rima, and Layal Rahbani. So Asi Rahbani is her husband, and the rest are her children. And here you can see pictures. This is a painting of Beirut in the 60s. And to the right, you can see a picture of her husband, and on the bottom, it's actually a picture of her mother. And so to speak more about where she grew up, so she grew up in Beirut, and she actually grew up as the eldest of 4 children, and she shared her house with numerous other families, all living under one roof. And here is the Beirut Music Conservatory. So this actually is a very key factor in her background. So this is a modern picture of the interior of the Beirut Conservatory. Fairuz joined the conservatory at a young age when her talent was being discovered. And during her time with the Beirut Music Conservatory and the Lebanese State Radio Choir, composer Halim Al-Rumi nicknamed her Fairuz, meaning turquoise in Arabic. Her actual name is Nouhad Haddad. And this is a very key factor into her foothold to fame. So the Baalbek International Festival. So first of all, Baalbek is a region in Lebanon, and it's very famous, especially for its vibrant festival and for its Roman ruins. And basically, Fairuz performed here in 1957, and this was her foothold to fame. And this festival is still ongoing in Lebanon. It was from 1957 to 2020, but because of COVID, the procedure was to stop it. And she sang Blame with the Rahbani brothers and was praised for how the traditional Arabic music merged with the classical Western, Russian, and Latin elements with Eastern rhythms and a modern orchestra. So here her song Sanirja Yoman, or We Shall Return One. This was actually inspired by, it spoke of the exiled Palestinians after the creation of Israel in 1940. This is actually the album cover. It just says her name, but yeah, it's one of her most famous songs. And here are some links to her songs, and the picture is actually a link. The picture is actually the album cover of the link in the middle. So if you want to listen to her songs and want to see what actually they're inspired by, this is a perfect way. And here are some album covers. So these albums are quite important in her career, as she released over 80 of them, and she even released some musicals. So these ones in specific were quite popular, and with that, Francois Mitterrand awarded her the Order of Arts and Letters in 1988, and Jacques Chirac first awarded her the Legion of Honor 10 years later in 1998. And especially these albums are important because they speak of what inspired her most, which I'm going to get to in the next slide. was Fairuz important? So Fairuz was some unity amongst the Lebanon and Lebanese. So with a country divided by so many religious sects and so many religions in general, um, 15-year-old, 15-year civil war, Fairuz was seen as a symbol of unity amongst Lebanese civilians. No matter what religion or sect you belong to, Fairuz's music was something everyone could listen to, and it wasn't limited to who you belong to. And they often called her the precious Fairuz. So, no country can cease to exist. The stones don't walk. This is a very famous quote said by her. And this alludes to the crises in Lebanon, Syria, and Palestine, which most of her songs are inspired by. Even though a country has its conflicts, there is always a solution. I feel like she was trying to communicate that the Arab world is strong and will persevere. And here, to talk more about her like unity and to expand more on that topic, her music wasn't limited by borders. She spoke of all the crises in the Arab world, and it wasn't just limited to unity in Lebanon, it was unity of the Arab world. And just a fun fact is that many of her songs have long been lost or unreleased, and many songs that addressed Arab international issues have been unpublished. And this is an article on that, and it focuses specifically on a song that was unreleased that she wrote in 1968 about the Six-Day War in Egypt. So something that you can take away from this presentation, in my opinion, is that individuals can influence the world in many ways. So it's not limited to one path. You can influence the world through politics, and Fairuz was able to influence the world in a very unique way by using her music and by bringing people together through her music. So here are some references and further reading. All of these sources were used in my presentation, but if you want to know more about her background and more about her songs and her inspirations, this is the perfect way to dive deeper. Thank you.